10 months ago when my wife and I bought this house and saw that this room, the dining room, had no light whatsoever. We knew that we were going to be putting a light in. And after almost a year of living here lightless, it is now time. And in addition to putting a light in, we're going to be doing some board and batten around the entire room. So those of you that have seen my kitchen remodel, you already know what I'm about to do. I'm going to cut a bunch of holes in my ceiling to be able to run wiring. So instead of making you sit through all of that, I'm just going to time lapse it for you. And of those of you that have not seen that series, why haven't you? Go check it out. Link's right here for you. So it looks like at some point, time lapse stopped. I don't know where it left off, but that being said, wiring is pulled, holes are cut. Now it is time just to throw new drywall pieces in there and wait for the light to arrive. It should be here in the next day or two. So when that is here, I'll be able to get that up. But in the meantime, I'm gonna throw some new drywall up to patch the holes. So I'll see you guys when we do that. Like that, the drywall is up, it's in place, all the holes are filled. Now I just gotta go through mud, tape, and do all of that. But first, I'm gonna see if I do have one extra LED light from when we did the kitchen, just so I can get this wired up and test it until the new light comes. So it turns out I used up all the lights when I did the kitchen project because I used them in other like random spots throughout the house. So I don't have any extra lights, so we're just gonna have to wait for the actual light fixture to be here. So it's been a few days. I don't know necessarily where I left off with you guys, but we are back and all the holes are patched, wiring is ran. I'm pretty sure I showed you guys that last time, but today we're getting this mudded up and sanded, hopefully. And then it should, as long as I can get this mudded and sanded today, we should be ready for paint this evening. That's the goal. Let's make it happen. While I'm doing drywall work, I almost forgot I'm gonna be getting rid of this plate. There used to be a phone line or something here. I'm just gonna be covering that up with drywall and getting that removed. Let's zip this off real quick. I go down. There we go. All right, so after a little bit of persuasion later, it is out, and now I just gotta clean up the hole and get it ready for my drywall patch. We got the hole cleaned up there, and now just gotta measure out my piece of drywall and get that slapped into place. So before I can get that slapped in, I gotta throw in this scrap piece of 2x4, or honestly, whatever scrap piece of wood you may have, just as like a backing piece to attach the new piece of drywall to, because there's nothing to screw it to here. Let me try to finagle this. Might need a smaller piece, actually. Yeah, I think I'm gonna need a smaller piece of wood. Next on the list is to get this mudded up, which you guys saw me do in my kitchen renovation. If you guys haven't seen that video, make sure to go check it out. I go in a lot more depth with a lot of these things. I'm kind of just skimming over on this one. So if you want to see how to do it, not the correct way, but how to do it, go check out that video. See behind me, holes are patched. I just gotta wait for it to dry, scuff it down, sand it, make it nice and smooth. Same with the wall over here. And then this ceiling is gonna be ready for paint. Once the ceiling is painted, then we are good to put this light in and start on the rest of the room, really getting that board and batten up, changing out outlets, things like that. But I think while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm gonna start getting the trim taken off the bottom of this room and just getting everything ready for the next stage once we're done with drywall. So we have this trim and quarter round all around this room. So next I'm gonna start taking all this out just while I wait for the drywall mud to dry. Once I get this out, I'm not gonna be worried about patching any holes or anything there because we're gonna have 4-inch trim coming up. So the trim that we're putting back is gonna be slightly taller than this one. So it's gonna hide any imperfections that happen when I take this off. So we go around, score all of this, and start prying. I'm just gonna throw you guys on time lapse, so hope you enjoy. So what for you guys probably took like 30 seconds to a minute, took me about an hour to get all of this trim out of this room. When they had the trim installed, trim was put in first and then the hardwood, so it was down below the hardwood, which made it really hard to get out. Nonetheless, it is out. I'm still waiting on the mud to dry. Shouldn't be too much longer, but in the meantime, I think I'm gonna go cut the power and get these outlets swapped out. Where are they? We're switching them over to this new square style. It's just what we've been putting in the rest of the house. Just kind of unify everything, make it a little bit more modern. Should look really good when it's done. And a little time later, all the outlets are installed. They are just temporarily in place, just so they're covered and whatnot. They'll come back, the plates will come back off once we paint, but this is still drying, so I'm gonna have lunch, and then hopefully by the time I'm done eating, this will be dry. I can sand it and we can paint the ceiling. So lunch has been had, and now it's time for you guys to have a sanding montage. here. I'm just gonna line the ceiling here, just wipe it down, get the dust off the ceiling, and then we'll be in business. Paint is just about dry, and well, I'm just letting that do it for a couple more minutes. It's time for me to run this wire down the wall to the outlet. I'm also going to swap out this outlet for a rocker switch, just because that's what we've been switching everything else in our house to. Just make it more cohesive. All right, so we're going to get this cover off. I apologize for the lights. Basically, every light on downstairs is on 1 or 2 breakers. So. So that is coming out. Just double check that it's not live. Just easier to cut this off and start fresh. Especially with how much access there is here. Go. And now what we gotta do is we gotta knock a hole through the back here so we can fish this down. So
see what else I have to order. 4 hours and I can order.
morning, guys. We are back. I think last night we left off with getting a light working finally. I don't remember. But today we're here to put the board and batten up. So I got all the wood that we need. It's just time to get measuring, get cutting, and getting it nailed up to the wall. So this should be the easy part. One of the easier parts of this project. Wiring was definitely the most difficult and most time consuming, but that's done. So now it's just time to measure and install. So I know this room is already 11.5 feet wide, and I got some 12-foot sections of MDF board. So we're just gonna trim that down and get it put into place. Actually, before I do, I'll do that first. so the walls are all up. Now I just need to do the trim piece across the top, a little lip. Other than that, this is done. Just like that, the top trim is on, the board and batten is on. And now, not today, next weekend, next step is to fill all the seams with wood putty, get it all sanded down nice and smooth, and then we'll be ready for paint. So I'll catch you guys next weekend. All right guys, so we're back. It's been a couple weeks since I was on this last, but we're back today to start filling the cracks and the holes and everything, and get this looking like one piece. So I got caulk and I got wood filler. So wood filler is gonna be for all the little nail holes and these seams, and then on the insides here and on top is gonna be for the caulk. So I'm gonna throw you guys on a time lapse on the tripod and we'll get to it. All right, so we got everything caulked up, and now I gotta go back with the wood filler, fill all the nail holes, all the little seams and whatnot. And then I gotta let that dry for about 24 hours, and then we should be good to sand, get this nice and smooth and ready for paint. So I spared you guys the fate of having to watch another time lapse, and I just did all the holes off camera. It took me about 30 minutes, so not bad. So everything has been filled and is nice and not smooth yet, but good transitions between. And then once this is all dry, so about tomorrow, I can come in with the sander, get it all knocked down, smoothed out, and ready for paint. Morning guys, we're back at it. Everything is dry. I got the sander ready, and we're gonna get to sanding down everything that I put wood filler on yesterday. Just get it nice and smooth and ready for paint. So I'm gonna throw you guys on the tripod for a time lapse and we'll get to it. And an hour and a half later, sanding is done. Best piece of advice I can give you if you're doing this, just because you can buy a $20 sander does not mean you should buy the $20 sander. Buy something good, something that will actually hold the paper. But now I gotta clean up. Next steps are gonna be, like I said, clean up, then paint. I don't have tape right now, so it's gonna be a next weekend project, is getting this room painted, and we will finally be done. So you guys last saw we finished up sanding everything down and getting it ready for paint, and that's exactly what we're doing today, is getting the bottom half, the board and batten side, painted. We have the paint. We're actually gonna use the paint that we used for the office on the bottom half here, and then a paint for the upper half that we used for cabinets. We're gonna get it in a semi-gloss, do on the upper half, but today we're just gonna focus on the bottom half. So I'm gonna throw you guys on the tripod, we're gonna do a time lapse, and we're gonna knock this out real quick. We got the bottom half of the room all painted. Off camera I went back, just did a second coat, did some touch-ups, and took the tape off. So now the room is all ready for the top half. So what we got to do next is, we already have the color picked out. We just need to get it in like a flat or a semi-gloss, either or, and then get the second half of the room painted. And this room will more or less be done. I mean, we have finishing touches like curtains and accents and things like that, but more or less this room will be finished. We can move on to the next big project, which is gonna be that deck. All right, so you guys just saw a couple seconds ago, I finished painting the bottom half. off camera, I got the top half taped and everything is ready for paint. So real quick, I got some spray paint. I'm gonna paint that in all black, just make it look clean. And then we'll get ready to actually throw the actual color on. All right, now that's dry. We can throw the cover back up and we'll paint that with the rest of the room. And like that, the top half is painted and the room is about 99% done. Obviously, we still have little things to do, like replace this light switch. We want a rocker switch with a dimmer, and we need curtains. So we know the rod that we are gonna get, but we still haven't decided on color. So if you guys have any color suggestions, make sure to drop them in the comments. But after about a month of work, the dining room is finally done, and we can move on to the next big project, which is going to be the deck. So guys, stay tuned for that. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.